Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this webinar about stress management. This is my favorite topic, so I'm happy that a lot of people are logging in to watch this. So firstly, my name is Cecilia Denton. I'm an industrial psychologist. I'm from a company called PTES Consulting. We do psychometric assessment, and we work closely together with the HR Talk, which is an HR support firm. And you may ask, who is the Study Methods Academy? So the Study Methods Academy is a sister company of PTES Consulting. Because we do psychometric assessment, there was a need to also help students and young adults with their learning processes. Of course, this includes stress management. So this stress management we can make applicable to all. So we use it across the board for everyone. So I thought it would be a good thing to share this with you today. And the first thing I want to tell you, I may be telling you today a few things that you already know. I'm hoping to zoom in a little bit deeper into things that you do not know. So we will also send you this manual afterwards because it's not a very big manual, but it's too much for an hour. So if you get the manual afterwards, you can actually do the exercises and fill that in as we go along. But this session is to guide you through the manual and then you know what it is that we're talking about when you get it. All right, so let's start with the first part. All right, so there's our introduction, but I just want to go directly to what stress is. So this tells you what the manual is about, how you can use the manual. But all right, so stress is something that everyone talks about. It's been around forever. What is it? So stress is the body's reaction to any change that requires adjustment or response. So the body reacts to these changes with physical, mental, and emotional responses. So stress is a normal part of life. You can experience stress from your environment, your body, and your thoughts. So this year, I think, was probably particularly difficult for a lot of people because the unpredictability of the situation, work-wise, COVID-wise, everything would have caused a lot of various responses. And constantly, your body and your mind has to adjust to what is happening, and it can be adjusting in various ways. So let's break stress up into more detail. So everyone suffers from stress. Even if you walk from one room to another and there's a small difference in room temperature, your body needs to adjust to it. So there exists a situation that you need to adapt to. It's during the adjustment or the adaptation phase that we either do well or we don't. So it starts as small as that. So even though you think that those little things doesn't make a difference, it actually does. So it starts from those small things and it can build up to very big things that are stressors. Of course, if you walk from one room to another and there's a small difference in room temperature, it's not so difficult to adjust. So it's not like you're going to have sleepless nights about it, but adjustment is taking place. It's probably taking place so easily that you don't even know it. But as soon as things get a little bit more difficult, it is more difficult to adjust. All right, so there's 4 symptoms of stress. So you first have emotional symptoms, you've got cognitive, behavioral, and physical symptoms. So it's good to differentiate between the types of stress because you need to start learning how to know your body. Because a lot of time people, they get at home after work, they are angry, they kick the dog, they don't actually really know how they got there, just know it was a very difficult day or a demanding day. But if you trace it back and you analyze what has happened, try and analyze what triggered you where to get you to the point that you are. The better you analyze yourself and the way you respond to things, and the better you know your symptoms, the better you can manage your stress. So it's good to know the different types of stress. So most of you should know emotional symptoms. I become easily agitated, frustrated, moody. I feel overwhelmed. I have difficulty relaxing, quieting my mind. I feel bad about myself, low self-esteem, lonely, worthless, depressed, avoiding others. So that's emotional. Physical, that's all in the body. Low energy, headaches, upset stomach, aches and pains, chest pains, insomnia, I can't sleep, colds or infections, loss of sexual desire or ability, nervousness, shaking, dry mouth, clenched jaw, grinding teeth. Then cognitive symptoms. So this is usually what we talk to students about. And there's no better way of describing this than referring to the typical situation where you go blank in an exam. So that's a cognitive system of stress. Sometimes you don't even feel that you're stressing, you just go blank. So other symptoms of the cognitive part is constant worrying, racing thoughts, forgetfulness, disorganization, inability to focus, poor judgment. You're just being pessimistic or you only see the negative side. That is when the cognitive symptom of worry kicks in. Behavioral symptoms, this is changes in appetite, procrastinating. So this is a good one. Procrastinating, when you do everything except what you're supposed to, you just can't get started, you avoid it. That's a very, very good behavioral symptom. That typical thing when you want to, for example, start studying or you have to work on something for work and you avoid it. It feels very subtle, but that is a behavioral symptom of stress. Increased use of alcohol, drugs, cigarettes, whatever, exhibiting more nervous behaviors such as nail biting, fidgeting, or pacing. So keep an eye on that foot, when the foot starts to, go like that when you sit, any movements. Sometimes you don't feel like you are stressed. It just comes out in a way that's sort of camouflaged. So try and differentiate between the types of things that you're feeling and try and analyze it. What has just triggered this now? All right, so let's look at stress. Stress equals tension. Stress could be described as an inner psychological, emotional, or physiological tension in the muscles. This condition happens when more is expected of you than you can actually handle. This indicates that the individual does not have the ability or infrastructure to cope with the demand. Also remember that often there's a perception that I can't deal with it. So please take note of that. It doesn't necessarily mean that you can't. If you are overloaded with work, it is going to feel like you can't do it. But if you break it up, if you get organized, you can do it. All right. So when you have to do work in 30 minutes that you can only do in an hour, of course, stress is caused. Adrenaline and noradrenaline are secreted, and this continues over time. This could cause the body to become ill or cause a psychological discomfort such as anxiety, fear, tension, or depression. So when the hormones are getting secreted, that is that typical feeling, the butterflies on the stomach, or I don't know if you ever felt like, you feel your physical body feels a little bit funny. It's when adrenaline, it's a hormone that gets secreted. The hormone in the blood system is the thing that makes you sick over long periods of time. So enough of that can give you short-term flu or things like that. Very long-term hormones in the blood can cause heart attacks and bigger diseases. There's, of course, one very simple way of getting rid of these hormones in your blood on a daily basis. Very simple, and that's exercise. It will get rid of that. So once you have a stressful day and you've got some way of alleviating that just the tension in the muscles, it is priceless. We all know this, but now you know that it also will get rid of the hormone in your blood. So please do not underestimate the exercise. All right, so these are the exercises. You can see this exercise here. You can do it when you get the manual. All right, so how does worrying affect you? So I'm sure a lot of you out there have worry and anxiety. In my experience, we do a lot of psychometric testing. When I assess people, there's very few people that is not bothered by worries. So we look at stress as a separate thing from worry. So we all think it's all in one. It's not really. Worry is just a bad habit. But stress management is a bigger thing that's more in your infrastructure. So it's a little bit deeper. Worry, the good news is to you today, that is a bad habit. You've learned it somewhere, you've seen it. It also comes sometimes just from a very strong sense of duty. But there's reasons why people worry. So let's look at the two main things. If you ask yourself why you worry, you'll probably get to the same answer or something similar. But the first one is they imagine that they can prevent bad things from happening if they worry enough. The second one, they imagine if they do not worry, it means that they don't care. So if you don't worry about that project or presentation or if you just relaxed about it, what does that mean? It means that you don't care. So that is all a false sense of security, because it is not true. In fact, some researchers have found that the reason why we worry is due to the absence of facts that confirms that everything will be okay. So without that evidence, we worry, because you don't know. There's no way that you can know whether everything's going to be fine. So we worry, we substitute, and we worry. So the actual fact is that we do not know whether everything will be good or bad. We actually do not know anything. That's the only truth that there is. You don't know anything. So this creates doubt, and then when doubt arrives, we treat it as fear. So ultimately, life and our futures are unknown. And the one thing that we can be certain about is that we do not know anything, whether things will be good or bad. So, for example, let's take this example. If I worry that I may get into a car accident when going on holiday, it is a useless effort, because you 100% do not know whether you'll be in a car accident or not. You don't know whether you will arrive at your destination safely or not. You do not know. You've got absolutely no idea. So the truth is that worry has absolutely no purpose, and it is totally useless. It actually really only just eats up all your emotional energy. So worry is based on fear, and not what is likely to happen, but rather on what would be terrible if it did happen. So our minds often like to imagine the effects of this terrible outcome, which is all based on creative and proactive thinking. So isn't that true? It's about, say you do go on holiday, wouldn't it be terrible if the holiday didn't even start, but you end up in hospital? So entertaining that thought, that's the one that gets our minds going. That's the thing that's horrible. So I want to analyze this definition of worry. And this is literally a textbook definition of worry. So I want you to read this a few times. Worry refers to the thoughts, images, emotions, and actions of a negative nature in a repetitive, uncontrollable manner that results from proactive cognitive risk analysis made to avoid or solve anticipated potential threats and their potential consequences. So remember, it says here, it's because worry can be very repetitive and uncontrollable, but you know as well as I do, it can be little or it can be a lot. We vary. We're on this continuum where we worry a little, we worry moderately a lot, and then there's times where we worry like a lot. So we on that continuum. Every day it can differ, but let's read it again. Worry refers to the thoughts, the images and emotions and actions of a negative nature in a repetitive and uncontrollable manner that results from proactive cognitive risk analysis made to avoid or solve anticipated potential threats and their potential consequences. All right, so now I want to analyze this. My first problem that we do. So the first problem is now primarily the above definition refers to a negative thought. So interestingly enough, we do not always focus on the possible positive things that could happen. Here and there we do think about how wonderful the holiday is going to be, of course. But for the most part, when we worry, we brainstorm all sorts of different things that could happen that are negative or disastrous. So let's look at an example. I will not do well in my test, or I fear a car accident while driving on a holiday. So the solution is, the reason why people do this is to avoid disappointment. So when I do fail my test, I can at least say that I knew it will happen and that I was prepared for it. So the disappointment is not so harsh. So this is a typical defense mechanism. So of course, if I preempt a car accident, I won't be shocked or surprised because I was expecting it. So in some way, I could possibly be hoping that the pain will be less when you receive the news. So the solution to this way of thinking is to direct your thoughts back to neutral. The bottom line is, remember what I said earlier, you 100% do not know what will happen. So allow yourself to accept this as a truth. So when you worry about something, take yourself back to neutral and say, I do not know what's going to happen. The outcome can be anything. All right. Then I want to take you to the second problem. So remember that definition said it focuses proactive thinking about the risk. So there's proactive thinking. So this is what worry is all about. It's very proactive. This suggests that we run ahead with what could possibly happen. That is, of course, negative. So we actively and proactively think about the consequences. So let's take an example again. It doesn't matter how hard I study, I will fail anyway, or my client owes me money and I will never see it. So the solution to this is this proactivity is possibly related to previous experiences because we are making something up. But it comes from somewhere, doesn't it? Because things have happened in the past. Because this is something that I also want to make very clear. When I talk about stress and worry, I don't want to tell you today that your worries and that your stress is not important or that it's not big and that it doesn't cause stress. It is important and it is a big thing. What I want to try and show you here is to how to cope with it because it's going to be there in any way. It's going to be there in any way. All sorts of things are there in any way every day. But the way that you relate to it is the only thing that you can control. So you will also see that worry is often also about real or imagined things. So we're not going to ignore the real things. There's real things. Real things. Am I going to have a job still tomorrow? Is COVID going to blow over? Am I going to get enough money to pay all my stuff? Or imagined things. So, but I want to take away the imagined things and I want to take the real things back to neutral. That's all we want to do is to how to cope with it. So once again, let's go back to proactivity is possibly related to previous experiences because we are making something up. So there have been previous things that happened. So this is where we relate it to. So we make it up because we have seen it in the past or we have heard that it's happened to others and we definitely don't want the disaster to happen to us. And that is understandable. It is understandable because we are just human beings that wants to be happy and safe. So you can calm down this proactive, creative thinking because once again, you do not actually know anything. Remember, every single situation is different, even your events and experiences from the past. So although there are similarities, the outcome may be different. Once again, it could be similar or different, but my point is you don't know. So to preempt it and run it in ahead, you'll see a lot of children do this, a lot of students, especially when it comes to studies and studying and learning, they run it far ahead. They look at the consequence of what will happen if it doesn't work out. That chows all your emotional energy. It takes up all your clear, effective thinking that you could put in the right way. So you have to learn how to control it very, very well. Let's look at the third problem. Okay, the definition ends with a focus on potential threat and potential consequences. So remember what we said earlier, we do not know anything. We do not know whether the outcome will be good or bad. What you are probably trying to do here is to combat or avoid disaster by predicting it. So we convince ourselves that if we know what will happen, then we can prepare for it, or the result will not be as devastating because we were expecting it. So I always do bad in my tests, or I worry that I will get into a car accident while driving on holiday. So the solution here, this is the nice thing because there are practical things that you can do that's in your power. You can only do things that's in your power. The other things you can't control. So you need to accept what is in your power and what is not. Practical things are in your power. So what will happen in the future is not in your power. You may be able to do simple things that could have a better effect on your future, not control the future, but to influence it. For example, you can save money now for the future. You cannot drink and drive. You can plan your studies. To do well in tests, you can attend school and put in the time in study for tests. You can manage your time and your stresses effectively. You can draft a roster and schedule your studies. You can take regular breaks. You can rest well. You can eat well. So the next paragraph here is if you drive with your car on holiday and you feel an accident, you can do the following practical things. You can rest well, take frequent breaks. You can eat well while focus while driving and not use your cell phone. Keep at the speed limit. There's a whole bunch of things that you can do so that if there is a car accident, you at least know, your conscience will be clear. You know that you have done what it is that you could. So this is very important. That what is going to happen is not in your control, and you do not know what is going to happen. All right. So even if something goes wrong, you can rest assured that if you did not do anything bad intentionally, but your intentions were good. I have often found that people tell me that when their intentions were good, they feel better, because when they go back to what their intentions was, it feels better. All right. So here are a few reasons why people think in disastrous ways. So you can find out what is yours. Why do you think in disastrous ways sometimes? So firstly, predicting disaster often creates a false impression that we will avoid disappointment. Then we resist changing our thinking patterns. It's less effort and more comfortable to choose the old way of thinking. It's very, very easy to fall back on how bad things are. It is the easiest thing in the world to feel sorry also for yourself and to dwell in it. You'll see how quickly that comes. Monitor yourself. That comes very, very easily. So changing our thoughts could and does require additional effort. So habit could be one of our worst enemies. All right, then another one, low skills recognition in oneself could also lead us to believe that we do not have the necessary skills and knowledge to complete this task successfully. So you may be better than you think you are. You have maybe more in you than you think you are, that you think you have. So look at yourself and look at what it is that you can contribute. Then we also have low self-esteem, could lead us to believe that the effort that we put in is not good enough. And then you want to go and look at what is it that affects you. Why do you have a lower self-esteem? Experience, we've seen it in the past and are convinced it will happen again, or it has happened to someone else and we would hate for it to happen to us. Lack of support from others, we often underestimate how important support from family and friends are. Here one can choose supportive, positive friends to avoid negative and unsupportive friends. Make sure that you distinguish between the two. All right, so that support from others is really important thing, but also you want to make sure that you have other support structures ready in your life. Then recognize whether you are a supporter or a burden. This is very important. I want you to think about this. Are you a supporter or are you a burden? Are you someone that makes it more difficult for other people, or are you someone who actually makes it better for other people? So that we don't just take and take and take, but maybe we can get something or give something as well. All right, then I quickly want to look at the difference between stress, worry, and anxiety. It's not the same thing. So if you thought that stress, worry, and anxiety were the same thing, then we can teach you something today. They are not. So they do, however, link. So here is what you need to know about the differences between these concepts. So let's look at stress. Stress is something that happens in the body. Stress is an emotional response and is usually caused by external triggers. So an external cause could be anything from exams, traffic, boyfriend, girlfriend problems, poverty, unfairness at work, illness. It can be anything. Earlier in this manual, we discussed the emotional, physical, cognitive, and behavioral symptoms of stress. So refer to this again to refresh your memory. Now let's look at worry. So worry is different from stress in the sense that it's mostly internal thinking and happens in the mind. This is the best news that you can ever get. This means that you can do something about it. It's internal thinking and it happens in the mind. It is often triggered by something that is real, for example, getting cancer or losing a job, but is followed by unreal, imagined thinking that it could or will happen to you. So worry is defined by internal thinking about problems or unpleasant things that may happen, and this causes you to feel fearful and unhappy. So in simple terms, worry is something that has not happened yet, whereas stress is already happening. So remember the difference. All of us confuse it because it's all enmeshed in one. Worry can also cause stress in the physical body at some point, which is unnecessary. So if you're experiencing stress already because you have money problems or health problems or whatever, don't put an additional burden on top of it, which is worry. Worry is internal thinking that happens in the mind, and you have a lot of control over this part. But we feel guilty when we don't worry or show too much concern, because then it just looks like you don't care. Be careful of that, because it is nonsense. It is just not true. It does not mean the fact that you don't reiterate and dwell on things that you don't care. If you have to, you communicate to people if they feel that they're not seeing the responses that they're expecting from you, then you communicate about it. But this is something that you need to keep a handle on. Let's look at what is anxiety. So this is how everything links together. So anxiety happens in the mind and body and is caused by persistent, excessive worrying about things. So interestingly, this can happen when there are no stressors. Did you know that? Because that is also very, very important. So anxiety is excessive worrying about things, and it can happen without a stressor. You can literally work yourself up into a frenzy. On the other hand, a buildup of a lot of stressors over a long period of time can also cause anxiety. So I don't think that the anxiety is only your fault. It can also be because there's been a build-up of a lot of stresses. For example, this year. This year has had a lot of a variety of things. We were worried about health stuff, family being okay, the economy, keeping your job, being able to pay. So it comes from all sides. So those things are not your fault. Those things are stresses from the environment. But what you want to do is keep an eye on how you worry about it, how much you talk about it, and what it is that you do about it. So the things that you can do about it is really things that most of you all know. But I'm going to show you a little bit of a deeper thing that happens in your head. So let's look at the good news. Okay, so there are good stress and bad stress. I think you know this as well. The good stress is when we feel excited. Bad stress is when it goes into distress. It's too much. So good stress is good. It's that slight bit of anxiousness that you feel that makes you perform very well. You also need it in exam times or when you deliver a project or whatever, so that you have that edge. Just a little bit of butterflies on the stomach, but you don't want it to go into distress, which is bad stress. So this is when the body just cannot adjust to taxing demands. All right, this is when it becomes dysfunctional. There's another trick that I want to teach you. So there's a few exercises here that I'm not going to go through, but I want to go through this exercise to get your mind thinking. So how are we going to manage our stress? So we need to analyze our stress and experience thereof to manage it effectively. So first, when you experience stress, you firstly want to look at your emotion. So when you experience a stressful situation, what emotions or feelings do you experience? So if you want to break up your feelings or your situation, firstly, identify your feeling and your emotion. A lot of people, it's enmeshed, so they can't even detangle it because they don't know what is the situation, what was the emotion, and how did I feel. It's all enmeshed. So you want to break it up into steps. So what is firstly the feelings and emotions that you experience? Is it insecurity, irritability, frustration? Then you want to look at the situation. What situation caused all of this stress? So we need to understand what types of situations trigger stressful experiences in order to manage it properly. So the feeling is a reaction to something. The something doesn't just exist. This is where we make a mistake. We think that stress is that anger that we are feeling or the frustration. It was caused by something. So that emotion was caused by something. So is it something someone said? Was it getting back test or exam results? Was it a piece of music that reminded you about something sad, that you run into someone, whatever, that, or traffic? That's always a good an example. So you have a situation that causes the emotion. It's not the other way around. So it's only after we've experienced the situation that we experience the emotions, such as anxiety, sadness, anger, insecurity, or this is also where the physiological symptoms comes in, the tension in the neck, the headache, the knot in the stomach, backache, and more. But you have to determine what was your trigger. So thirdly, this is when the behaviors are triggered. So there is something, I'm sure you do know it, but I'm just going to reiterate it again. it should be understood that the emotional experience is a result of a reaction towards a stressful situation. So the emotional response and physiological reaction do not just exist. It needs a situation that triggers it. So firstly, the analysis of stress and the stressful situation. Firstly, situation, it triggers the stressful feelings. Then you have an emotion, and then you have a behavior adjusting to it. So remember, when you drive into that traffic, your behavior that you may use to adapt to the emotion could be driving fast or erratic or hooting at people or whatever, or even driving nicely. That you could do that as well. But this is the flow of when stress happens. You have a situation, it triggers an emotion, and it causes a specific behavior. All right, so then I want to tell you what is the secret. So it's how you think about the situation that causes the emotion. So I'm sure all of you know this. I don't think this is new news for you, but you've got your situation, and then you've got your thinking process about it, which causes the emotion. The emotion doesn't just pop up or is there. It can only be triggered by the way that you think about it. Not even the situation can cause it. Traffic cannot cause you to have an emotional outburst. It's the way that you think about traffic. This is very important. It's the way that you think about traffic, or way that you think about your exam, or that you think about your job situation, or the economy, or this South African situation. So remember, the thinking process is your worst enemy or your friend. So you've got a situation, then you think about it, that causes the emotion. So do not think that things are just stressful and you can't help it. It's the way that we think about it. I don't want to hold it against you if you stress out or freak out. I mean, it is a very normal, natural thing to do, but you can get a handle on this part as much as you possibly can. All right. Let me just keep an eye on the time. You can give me some questions if you have. We're going to address that at the end of this. Here are some exercises that you can do when you have this manual. But now I do want to quickly run through what happens in our brains. So this is very important, because if you know what happens in your actual brain, if you understand it better, you can actually do something about it. So whether you know this or not, I want to share this with you, because then you could deal with your stuff better. So the brain is made up of millions of dendrites. These dendrites are a means of communication in the brain, and it ensures that messages are passed backwards and forwards. So there are hair-like follicles on the dendrite, and this carries the neurotransmitters. So this, the more you tell yourself you cannot do it, you can't remember it, you're not smart enough, you are too stressed or worried, the fewer of those hair-like follicles there will be. So if you look at this sketch here, this is your hair-like follicles. The neurotransmitters are the chemical that runs from the one dendrite to the next to carry out the messages. Now that neurotransmitters, that's where everything comes from. That's your memory. That's where depression lies, happiness, bipolar, schizophrenic types of things happens when there's a problem with your neurotransmitter. So the neurotransmitter is quite an important thing, but it's got a basic function as well. You program your brain and you say, I cannot do it, I cannot remember it, or I'm not smart enough, I'm too stressed. The hair-like follicles will diminish. This will inhibit the message from going through easily. So remember how it feels when you go blank? It's because the message can't go through. It's not that you are stupid or that you can't remember it, because the information, sadly enough, is all captured in your head. It's in your mind. But you go blank because you are actually blocking the neurotransmitters from moving. It's the message is just not getting through. You could study or work very, very hard. If your stress is out of control, you are actually not being very kind to yourself, and you can't remember the message. All right, so there is something that you can do about this. So changing your internal dialogue can prevent this. So what is an internal dialogue? It's a very big fancy word for something very, very simple. The internal dialogue is communication with yourself, whether this is positive, negative, or neutral. We all talk to ourselves, whether out loud or in our minds. Be very, very aware of what it is that you say to yourself, because it is incredibly powerful. So this is the conversation that we have with ourselves on a daily basis. So think about what you say to yourself every single day. Whether you talk to yourself out loud or silently, it doesn't matter. What you say to yourself is incredibly important. So now think about this. What do you say to yourself every day? Are you your own friend or foe? The big thing is just whatever you say to yourself actually has a physiological impact on your actual body. It is so subtle. We sometimes think it's not so important. It makes a massive difference. But your own awareness will start making you aware of what it is that you do and the impact that it has on your quality of life, because you control your quality of life. So if your internal dialogue is negative and you put yourself down, the fewer of the hair follicles will be on the dendrites, the less neurotransmitters will be carried over. So now it will result in unable to remember clearly, stressing even more, breaking out in a sweat, heart palpitations, all of these symptoms. You may not have experienced all of that, but you could have had some of that. So let's look at how you can control that. So now we're going to look at positive brain programming. So there's another secret that I wonder if you know this. So we want to change our thinking. So you've heard this a lot everywhere. People say, yeah, positive affirmations, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to tell you why a positive affirmation is actually so important. There are things about your brain that you really don't know. So in order to do well in exams or at work, you need to understand that one of the greatest barriers to your success is your attitude. So as with many things in life, the way that you choose to view this can change your feelings and your performance dramatically. So remember that the brain does not know when you're talking the truth. So I wonder if any one of you knew this. The brain is just an organ. It doesn't know what the truth is. It doesn't know what a lie is. It doesn't know when you are talking the truth. It knows what the truth is only by experience. Because of experience, it's told us that stealing, for example, is not acceptable. It's not good. You only know that because of experience. Your brain doesn't know that. Your brain is just an organ that sits there and gets messages. You can feed it anything, it's going to believe you. So whatever you tell your brain, it's going to believe you. So if you tell your brain you are stressed, it's going to believe you. If you tell your brain you're not capable, it will believe you. If you tell your brain you're not good enough, it will believe you. If you tell your brain that you are prepared, you are relaxed, it will believe you. So this is a very important message that I hope that I can get through to you today. Whatever you tell your brain, it's going to believe you. If you tell your brain you are useless or slow, ugly or whatever, it's going to believe you. It's going to accept it as a truth. If you change that way of talking, it will believe you. So we program ourselves that from a young age that we are ugly, fat, slow, not good enough, not clever enough, not strong enough, whatever. But now you're trying to be fast, clever, and great. But how are you supposed to if you have programmed yourself in such a way for so long? So there's another piece of good news that I want to tell you. If you continue to tell yourself positive affirmations during every single day, you can reprogram your brain, because even if you tell yourself something and you do not believe yourself, say, for example, you start telling yourself today, I'm worthy. Just I'm worthy. But you know, I don't believe myself. I just think that I'm stupid. If you keep on telling yourself that positive affirmation, whether you believe it or not, the good news is the biochemical reaction in your brain takes place in any way. It takes place automatically in any way, which means that the brain is going to start accepting it as a truth. So what happens if you get into a habit and a pattern of saying, I am calm, I am calm, I am relaxed. You don't have to have massive amounts and elaborate positive affirmations. You have like 3 main ones and you keep on repeating it. The biochemical process takes place in any way. But this is like one of those things where it's not a quick diet. We want, when they say you shouldn't go on a diet, you should eat, you should have a healthy living a healthy life, healthy eating habits instead of going on diets. Now, this is what we want to do here. You're not going to say it once or twice or for a week and then say it doesn't work, I'm giving up. This is a way of life, and you have to do it consistently every day for the rest of your life. And only a few times a day. It really doesn't have to be like every single minute. But especially when you start feeling anxious or worried about something, just repeat something. And even if you don't believe yourself, it doesn't matter. You can say to yourself, I am successful. I sleep well. I am relaxed. I am good enough. It is going to start believing you. I have seen the change of this, and I've seen the success of this. So I'm talking out of experience. This really happens. The biggest problem is people give up. And because they don't see that immediate change, because we live in a world today where you get it immediately. You swipe a card, you get it immediately. You click a button on Facebook, you see the picture immediately. Everything is immediate and quick. With this, it is a long-term process which you need to get used to. You need to teach your children from a young age to say these positive things just in general. A lot of children have told me that they feel almost uncomfortable saying that they're good or they are clever or whatever, because they feel like they're boasting, they are arrogant, whatever. So there's a difference between being positive about yourself and being overly arrogant. So explain that also, especially if you've got children, explain that to them. There is a difference. All right, so you can repeat yourself, I can, I have, I am, whatever, or I am great, I am smart or clever. Usually when in exercises, when I ask people, and this is not just children and students, I'm talking about adults as well. If I ask them to write down 3 good things about themselves, they take time. They sit there, they cannot write down 3 things. It takes them quite a while to jot down something. And then we go into, why does it take you so long to write down something good about yourself? Why does it take you so long? And that's going to be your starting point. So if you can write down a few things, just a handful of things, 3 or 4 or 5 things, and repeat that every single day, you will start believing that. It will become a truth for you, and not overnight, over a long period of time. Later on, within a few years, that will just be normal for you to believe in yourself. It will become a normalcy. I have seen people that's highly anxious, incredibly anxious, can't sleep, just anxious about everything, totally calm down and believe that they actually deserve to have a day without butterflies in the stomach and feeling dizzy and all of that. So you can have that. You can absolutely have that. All right. Also, take note that I am saying, when you have a positive affirmation, don't say in the future. Say, for example, I am clever, because you are that right now. And don't say I will be. Everything is right now. I am calm. I am calm. I am calm. I'm saying it has been true, and not that it will be true sometime in the future. Also, try not to say too many negatives. Say, I am calm instead of I am not stressed. So remove the negatives, remove the no's and the nots. Say very short and simple, I am calm, I am clever. The brain has got a reaction to the negatives that's in the sentence. Another long story for another day. But this is how simple the brain is. The biochemical process will take place in any way if you make positive affirmations. All right. I want to quickly jump to, there's also a free stress scale that's in this questionnaire, that if you get the manual, you can do this. This is a stress questionnaire that's it's a short, brief one. It will tell you whether you currently fall in below average, average, or higher average. So it'll just give you an indication of where your stress levels are at the moment. We also have other stress profiles that will indicate whether your support system and infrastructure in your life is in place. For example, exercise, eating, family, all sorts of those things are in place. But this one that is in this questionnaire is something that will literally just help you identify at least where you fall at the current moment. So just to add to that, we do a lot of psychometric testing every single day. So for the last, I think it's 4 or 5 months, the stress on the personality questionnaire is sky high. The pessimism is also quite high. So please don't have a fright if you see that you are also stressed and worried. Currently, we do have quite a few good reasons for that. I just want you to manage and monitor it well. Get help if you feel like you need to get help, or if you need to speak to someone. That is the best thing that you can do. You don't have to do anything alone. Don't feel like you have to sort these things out yourself. You contact us, you contact the HR Talk, we will arrange something for you. But there are stress screeners that's more in depth than this one that you can do. I quickly want to run to the last one where we look at the tips. These are also things that you do know. So if you know everything that I'm saying here, there is absolutely no excuse why you are not doing some of these. Please give me your questions if you have any questions that we can talk about. So share it on the screen here if you want to ask me anything. We've got another 12 minutes left. And but while you are thinking, I'm going to run through this. So eat healthy on a daily basis. You've heard this a million times. So research the type of foods that support the immune system and that is good overall for the central nervous system. So don't underestimate, how many times you've heard vegetables are good for you. Stay away from the fatty processed stuff and just give yourself a break. Also remember that certain foods triggers the central nervous system. So very spicy stuff, of course, caffeine and stuff will trigger the central nervous system and make it a little bit more wobbly. This is also where you can practice things like your meditations or even exercise will calm that down again. So just be aware that what you put in your body really has a massive impact. I don't even have to say that again. You all know that. Sugar is always a bad thing that you just want to avoid as much as you possibly can. It puts strain on the brain, especially when you're trying to study and you're trying to focus, puts strain on the brain. So it causes sleepiness and drowsiness. But any biltong, droewors fat, that type of fatty stuff works well. Of course, all your nuts and those type of things works very well because it's got the good fats in it. Exercise regularly. So exercise will get the adrenaline and the stress-related hormones out of the bloodstream. This you've also heard a million times, do exercise. But to really exercise, you should not see exercise as a losing weight type of thing. You should do it for one reason, and that's to keep you healthy and calm, because the deep breathing while you're running, it's similar to when you meditate, or not meditate as such, but the breathing exercises that you get sometimes with meditation. It takes up the oxygen to parts of your body that actually needs it. So the exercise is important. Vitamin B supplements are good. If you eat a lot of vegetables, you don't even need to take vitamin B supplements because you're going to get enough. I love the juicing part of vegetables, the green juice and stuff. You literally nourish your body incredibly. So the organ in the body that takes the most energy is the digestive system. So that's the most energy of everything. That is why heavy foods takes a lot of time to process. Of course, your lighter types of foods like your vegetables, that takes 3 to 4 hours, where meat takes up to 72 hours. So I'm not saying become a vegetarian or cut out whatever. Just give yourself a break every now and again as well. Just focus on what it is that you're eating. The body struggles. It struggles to get through the system, and that's where your energy goes to. Get enough sleep or power naps. Do not sacrifice good night's sleep. During sleep is when the body heals. That's the time when it heals. It should be able to heal itself from almost anything. Meditation, yoga, breathing, these are all things that all of us knows about it. It's everywhere. You just Google it. You find a thing that's like a guided meditation or yoga. Google whatever you find you like and what you want to that you will enjoy. And then also don't underestimate the value of aromatherapy oils like lavender and chamomile to calm you. And then you've got lemon verbena that optimizes your concentration again. So you can play with different types of things. Lemon verbena is excellent for students, even at work. It's not like work is easy, it's in itself, but lemon verbena, not lemon drops or lemon whatever, lemon verbena, you even get the plants. So lemon verbena, if you burn it in a candle burner, it optimizes your concentration. And then you've got the lavender and the chamomiles that will calm you down again. The aromatherapy oils really work because it does affect the brain chemistry, the stress levels, hormone production. It's just a fun additional thing that you can do. So don't use any new medications, but this is obviously for students when they do exams. Don't forget the benefits of soothing music. So your typical Baroque classical music optimizes concentration. It's been scientifically proven. So that's very good for the workplace, but also for studying. Then, of course, keep a positive attitude. Accept that there are events that you can't control. The most stress comes from people wanting to control things and adjusting to what they can't control. So the more flexible and adaptable you are, the more you say, just let it go, the better you'll be. So remember, controlling, flexible. Even if you can find a benefit, a balance between the two, you'll be okay. Be assertive instead of aggressive. Assert your feelings, opinions, or beliefs instead of becoming angry, defensive, or passive. So there's a different thing at work as well, that you're going to be assertive instead of aggressive. Manage your time more effectively. This has got a great impact on your stress levels. So the time management, being a little bit more organized, may help you with your stress levels. But remember, be flexible within your schedules. So set limits appropriately and learn to say no to requests that would create excessive stress in your life. Learn to say no. I've seen people, the typical giving people that wants to help everyone. Sometimes you have to say no to protect yourself. Currently, in the situation that we're in, I've heard from a lot of people that they've even taken a break from Facebook and certain social media things just because they want to just not get so much information for just a while. So give yourself a break. Just give yourself a break as well. Make time for hobbies, interests, and relaxation. This is the first thing that people let go when they're stressed. And if they need money, this is the first thing they let go. Remember that life is very short and there must be things that you must enjoy. Enjoy it and go places, just go walk. And go see, that doesn't have to cost you money. Go places and just go walk. And then seek out social support. Spend time with those that you enjoy. So that social support is very important. So that would be family, friends, all of that. Reach out to people when you feel the pressure is too much, right? And then I've just put here a breathing exercise that you can do, obviously, when you get the manual. But Google these things. There's millions of videos on YouTube about breathing exercises and things. All right, so there's a question here. Where can I download the book? So you can contact the HR Talk and we will send it to you. So they will be sending out, I think they send out the video, but as well as the manual. So the HR Talk will have the manual that you can then just download it and fill in the exercises and take it from there. All right, did anyone else have any other questions? All right, so you can get the manual. Okay, so there are some people saying thank you for the valuable information. I know that there's a lot of things that I've repeated that you do know, but there are also things that you may not know, and that is, or that you may have forgotten, that whatever you say to yourself can hurt you. So be very, very aware of that. And remember, the biochemical process takes place anyway when you say positive things to yourself. And you are also welcome to contact us if you want to do stress profiles or screeners with your staff, just to get an idea of where everyone is. The stress questionnaire that's in this manual is a real nice little screener just to tell you where you are But if it shows that you're stressed, don't leave it there. Contact us or do something about it. Don't sit and think, okay, I'm stressed and now I'm screwed. You're not alone. The stress levels in general are very high at the moment. So it's everywhere. So be careful as well. Be careful on the roads. I have picked up a little bit of a higher tension, even on the roads. Usually by the end of most years, the tension on the roads are higher. And my research has shown that even disciplinary hearings in companies increases by the end of the year because people are tired, they make mistakes. So know that by the end of the year, you are more tired. This year, you may feel that you weren't as productive, but you are even more tired. So just be aware of the different feelings that you may be feeling. Everyone is going through like big emotional things. Just step back and just know that, that it is, it's not your fault. It is normal that's going on here, but it is your responsibility to do something about it for you and your family, and do whatever it is that you can do. If you can't cope with it, go get help somewhere. There's help out there. All right, let me see what the time is. So please make contact with the HR Talk if you want this manual. We will gladly send it to you. And there is a website on there if you want to check out other things that we've got. Please do so, and or talk to me directly if you want any type of guidance or help. All right, it doesn't look like there's any other questions. I'll give it in just another minute. And I think then we are finished for today. So thank you for tuning in, and stay happy and safe during the holidays. And we hope to see you next year, definitely for more webinars.